What's up? Future Winter here on how to properly record his voiceovers. So, just so y'all know, if you notice a audio difference in my recordings, then just so you know, this is before I start recording my parts without my mic filter on. So, if any of you notice the noticeable audio difference in my voice, then that's why. Also, I'm pretty sure anyone in my position who spent about 2 or 3 months re-scripting and redoing my research for Shay vs. Connor would just pretty much say, fuck it. So, enjoy the revamp.
I'll fight for your life. I'll fight for your life, for your right to be free, 'cause I'll wipe the tears from your eyes. Just hang on one more night, I'll be there by your side. There's no open suicide, so hang on for your life. Just hang on one more night. Just hang on one more night. Just hang on one more night.
Shay Patrick Cormac was born September 12, 1731 in New York to a family of Irish immigrants from Dublin. His mother would die in childbirth, and his father would often spend most of his time out at sea. Living in a rough part of New York, Shay often found himself getting into a lot of trouble, but was looked after by his friend Liam O'Brien. One day while at sea with his father, a severe storm would hit, leaving only he and a few crewmates alive. Shay would wander the streets picking fights in taverns until he would be approached by his friend Liam, who introduced Shay to his mentor Achilles Davenport. Over the years, Shay would devote himself to the creed, but found himself questioning the order. Months later, Shay would obtain a manuscript that would point him to the direction of Lisbon, Portugal, to obtain a piece of Eden. But after picking it up, it would disintegrate, causing a massive earthquake that took countless of lives. After returning to the Brotherhood, Shay would accuse his mentor of knowing the disastrous events that would take place. As a result, Shay would break in to take the manuscript, but would be ambushed and shot off a cliff. Afterwards, Shay would be placed in the care of Barry and Cassidy Finnegan by a Templar Colonel George Monroe, who would nurse him back to health. Shay would later be approached by George, who would task him in rescuing Christopher Gist, who would become Shay's first shipmate. However, Monroe would be killed while Shay took out Kesegwase. Despite rescuing from a building, Monroe would succumb to his injuries. Following this, now Templar, Shay and Hasten would track Achilles and Liam to another piece of Eden site that would be activated, where Shay would chase Liam down. After a scuffle, the ice beneath them would give way. Though Shay would survive the fall, Liam would be injured, who would succumb to his injuries, while Hasten would cripple Achilles. After this, Hasten would task Shay in locating any remaining precursor boxes. Born April 4th, 1756, Connor would be raised in his mother's village, but at the age of 4, while playing hide and seek with a few children, Connor would be ambushed by Hasten's Templars, who were searching for a precursor site. Proving useless to them, Connor would be knocked unconscious, but when he awoke, he would find his village ablaze, who would be unable to save his mother. After this, he would vow to bring down the Templars responsible for the attack on his village. By 1769, Connor would be given some answers from a member of his tribe, who would show him a crystal ball where he would come in contact with Juno, who would instruct him to seek out a symbol that would lead him to the right path. Connor would set off to homestead to Achilles, but would refuse to train a boy. However, the next night, after fighting off some bandits, Achilles would be reluctant to train Connor. By 1773, Kenneto Khan would bring news to Connor that William Johnson was attempting to claim their land. From that day forward, Connor would begin to bring down Hasten's Templars, who would meet up with Samuel Adams in New York, who would help him find Johnson. It wouldn't be until 1774 where he would assassinate Johnson at the Johnson Hall. A year later, Connor was out to Bunker Hill to assist Israel Putnam against the British forces to bring John Pitcairn out of hiding. After Pitcairn's assassination, Connor found out that the Templars were planning on assassinating George Washington. By 1776, Achilles would introduce Connor to an ally of the Brotherhood, Benjamin Talmadge, who would direct Connor in the direction of New York in search of Thomas Hickey. But moments after discovering Thomas's counterfeiting ring, the two would be arrested on the charge of counterfeiting. During his stay in Bridewell prison, after Thomas would be transferred to another cell, Connor would try to assassinate him, only to find the warden, where Lee and Thomas would frame Connor for the attempt of assassination of George Washington. During his execution ceremony, Connor's noose would be severed, where he would find Achilles beneath the gallows, who would assassinate Thomas moments after. By 1777, Connor would meet up with George Washington in Valley Forge, who concludes that Benjamin Church was a traitor, where he would be directed to Church's house, but only be ambushed by Hasem, who would suggest a truce seeing how they were both searching for a church, who would pursue Church's vessel after dismantling the mast. Connor would find Church below deck, who would refuse to speak but would assassinate him either way. During his last moments, Church would reveal the location of the stolen supplies on an island. After he and Hasten would meet up with Washington, but would cut ties with the two after finding out that they were withholding information from him and for the order of burning his land. Connor managed to take out Washington's messengers, however Ken Tokon would accuse him of turning against his people and would be forced to kill him. By 1781, Connor would make good on his promise with Achilles by tracking Hasten down to Fort George, but would be caught in a cannon fire. Pushing his way through Fort George, Connor would find Hasem. During their long, drawn-out fight, Connor would stab Hasem with his hand blade. Following Hasem's assassination, Connor would make his way to Boston, where he would board Charles's vessel. During their struggle, the vessel's interior would collapse on Connor. During this, Connor would gain the upper hand and would shoot Lee. Despite his injuries, Connor would pursue Lee to an inn where he would assassinate him, finally putting an end to Hasem's Templars, where he would return home, finishing his war once and for all. Well, what's up? We're here for another Assassin's Creed theme match, and quite frankly, one that has not only interested me for a while now, but ones that could have actually happened since these games are only 2 years apart, with Shay Cormac the Templar taking on the Colonel Assassin Connor Kenway. Now when it comes to Connor, I'll only be sticking to his showings from Assassin's Creed 3 main campaign, so none of his showings from his DLC, and the same applies for Shay to make things less complicated. So with that aside, let's get the show on the road, starting with their physical capabilities. By the time of joining the Templars, Shay would be a 26-year-old man standing around 5'10". Due to being an active Templar, Shay will without doubt be in great shape. He's shown to run long distances and got right back up after being thrown around by an earthquake, walked off large falls, and survived being shot from a cliff. However, he was bedridden for several weeks. As far as strength goes, I'll go out on a limb and say that it'll likely be around average for someone of his age. Speed-wise, Shay is capable of keeping up with master assassins such as Hope while poisoned. However, I'll say that he would be around average for stamina since we really don't have a limit. By the time of 1781, Connor would be a 25-year-old man standing around 6 foot. Even as a mere child, Connor will be in great shape. As a young teen, he's free-running his way through force, taking hits from grown men that he's seen unfazed by. By the time he'll be an adult, he's been punched around by Charles Lee and Hasem, powered through debris falling on him, and speaking of which, fought Hasem after sustaining injuries from cannon fire. And just like Shay, is shown to run long distances and should have the stamina limit for someone of his age. This should be pretty straightforward. Both are in the same age, with Connor will be a year younger. They are both in great shape, will be equally strong and equally durable, having taken large falls, and both are gone from fight to fight with no fatigue shown. Despite Connor having a height advantage, they are both overall hanging in the same ballpark, so I give no edge in physical capabilities. Shay carried 12 6 weapons. Just like all members of the Brotherhood, Shay carried a pair of hand blades that extracted when he curled his wrists. For his sword, he primarily carries a 6-foot long bast sword with a paring dagger. However, Shay's version is more built for piercing blows rather than slashing. He also carries a pair of clean pistols, smoke bombs, and rope darts that he can use to pull his opponents to him, or from a higher ledge, hang them. But his most powerful weapon in his arsenal is his air rifle. His air rifle darts range from sleep and berserk that do exactly as they sound. The rifle also has a grenade launcher given to him by Benjamin Franklin. The grenade launcher rounds vary from explosives that can destroy wound structures, sleep and berserk gases that again do exactly as they sound. Shay also carries a gas mask to protect him from the fumes that the grenades produce. He also wears leather armor under his Templar robes for extra protection. That doesn't seem to hinder his movements. Connor carried 12 7 weapons. Much like all of Achilles' assassins, Connor carried a pair of hand blades. But unlike most hand blades, Connor's were modified so that his right hand blade curls out into a blade so that he can dual wield with his tomahawk. Speaking of which, his tomahawk is pretty much self-explanatory, except the bottom of the blade is designed to catch the blade of an opponent's sword. He also carried a pair of double flintlock pistols, a bow with a total of 8 arrows, smoke bombs, a rope dart, a poison dart. This is possibly the most complicated category to break down, but starting off small with their smoke bombs and rope darts, they will cancel each other out since they're both skilled with the rope dart, and they both have equal vision, so smoke bombs will be useless. Their hidden blades is a bit of a toss-up, but I'm slightly leaning towards Connor, since at any given moment, with the flip of his wrist, Connor can make the fight physical by switching his right hand blade to a knife. But when it comes to Shay's bast sword and Connor's tomahawk, Shay would be able to keep Connor at a distance that will inflict a damn good amount of damage if letting it hit, but on the flip side of things, Connor's tomahawk is designed to deal with sword-wielding opponents. And unlike Shay's bast sword, his tomahawk is built for hacking and slashing. And just so I don't waste anyone's time, Connor also has Shay beat when it comes to their flintlock pistols. Since Connor allows him to fire 2 times in one go. So that leaves Shay with his air rifle and Connor with his bow. And to be honest, it's no contest. Shay has him beat in both range and firepower. And also, Connor doesn't wear any armor, so Shay gains the advantage by default. But that really doesn't stop Connor from gaining the edge in weapons. Just like in all my previous matches involving sword wielders, I'll be using Star Wars lightsaber fighting forms to better analyze and illustrate a combatant's approach to combat. Now, to not waste anyone's time, it's my belief that they will both use the same fighting forms, and that'll be form forward target that's designed to apply acrobatics and aggression to pressure an opponent, but isn't designed to engage in close quarters combat. Form 5 Genso that hones a user to block and counter before delivering a devastating assault. And Form 6 Nemon this trains a user to use their blade and force abilities, or in this case, their blades and equipment. Shay was trained on his father's ship in swordsmanship and marksmanship, and tactics that would be learned to the Brotherhood by his former mentors. But it wouldn't be until Shay would turn to Templars where he would turn his weakness into advantage by taking everything he had learned and using that knowledge against members of the Brotherhood, nearly wiping them out of existence to such an extent is that no matter what any member of the Brotherhood threw at him, he already likely had a counter to it, even taking out assassins with decades of experience on him. As an overall tactician, Shay is quickly to cut down his opponents using a Jarkai variation of Ataru to deal with groups of opponents quickly and effectively. Before joining the Brotherhood, Connor would be trained to fend for himself by his tribe, that would further be amped after training with Achilles. Much like his grandfather Edward, Connor went to the Brotherhood with his own established set of skills. Again, unlike Edward, who prefers to tear apart his opponents whilst using the environment to his advantage, Connor prefers a similar method, except prefers to swiftly cut down his opponents whilst countering in a Genso style. Much like Shay, deals with opponents swiftly and effectively. Much like the last category, this one's similar but less complicated. Both assassins were the top dogs of their time, but one just has a bit more going at him, which may not please many Connor fans, but please, hear me out. Connor is without doubt the most effective assassin we've seen so far, but as swordsman, I'll slightly give it to Shay. Despite the 3 years difference, I'll say that Shay will hold an advantage since he'll be more focused due to having to board enemy ships on a daily basis, on top of facing groups of opponents. Connor is certainly not lacking in swordsmanship, but his strategy seems to be more built for blocking and countering. While yes, that's not a bad strategy since Ezio himself uses a Genso style, but just substitute Ataru with Makashi. However, a defense can only last for so long until opponent either finds a way around this or develops a counter to it. But on neutral grounds, Shay will hold an advantage since unlike Connor, Shay has an active sense to detect sneak attacks. While Connor will put up a damn good fight even for someone like Shay, he'll have to be very careful when engaging in close quarters, since one wrong move could sacrifice everything. But what really dictates who's a better tactician mainly depends on who would have a better time controlling the pace of the fight. On neutral grounds, to me, that would be slightly Connor, since he has spent years facing opponents on battlefields and trained in vegetated areas, forcing him to be on the move. But still, this fighting style will put off a stalemate, allowing him to make up for the 3 years difference. But at the end of the day, I more favor experience over talent, so I give Shay the very, very, very slight edge in combat skills and tactics. Let's just say that before dealing with Haytham, Connor hears about an acquaintance that Shay has been spotting in New York. Setting off to deal with the Templar, Connor manages to ambush him in the frontier. Trying to get the drop on him with an assassination, Shay throws Connor across the ground, drawing their blades. The two start off with standard swordplay with Shay nearing having his sword almost in Connor's face, but the assassin jabs Shay with his tomahawk that slightly punctures Shay's armor. Blood spurts out, forcing the Templar to stagger back. Connor takes his cue to close distance between he and Shay, but Shay reacts faster and stonewalls Connor, only taking a minor slash from his knife. Shay returns favor by slashing his assassin's side with his paring dagger, but with the flip of his wrist, catches his Templar's bastard sword under his tomahawk and tosses Shay into a tree. Shay moves out of the way just in time, nearly having his head hacked open by Connor. Shay goes for another quick combo. Connor parries and slashes to the Templar's side. Recoiling back, Shay re-engages, but more vicious than before. Connor begins to find himself on defense. Connor ducks under a slash from the Templar. This time, the Templar uses a similar counter that was used against him and tosses Connor into a tree. But as Connor closes the distance, Shay brings his sword down towards the assassin, who catches it under his tomahawk. However, the Templar grabs onto the assassin's robes. The Templar pulls the two down the hill. Despite their weapons laying a few feet away, the two rise to their feet, trading blows back and forth. Despite Connor laying a few knife slashes that weakens Shay's defense, enough for him to get the upper hand to pin him against a tree. Shay jabs into Connor's side to try to weaken the assassin's grip, but the Native American only recoils back after feeling a blade stab into his side, who's met by another stab into his arm, forcing him to drop his knife. Shay doesn't relent and kicks Connor back before tossing his rope dart into Connor's shoulder, but as Shay yanks Connor forward, the assassin shoulders Shay, knocking him onto his back. The hunter side rolls and returns the favor by leg sweeping Connor. As Connor gets to his feet, he sees the Templar going for his backward. Taking his opening, he quickfires an arrow through Shay's shoulder, who lets out a pained yell. Connor retrieves his tomahawk, but as the assassin is only a foot away, Shay quickfires into Connor's gut, removing the arrow from his shoulder. Shay takes the opportunity to retrieve his backsword and dagger. Shay closes distance between Connor as Connor stumbles to his feet. Shay rushes the assassin, who is now finding it hard to keep up his strength for his defense, as he takes cut and slash before taking a stab through his hand that disarms him of his knife, before Shay slashes into Connor's upper torso before finishing him off with a hidden blade stab to his neck. And only moments after his body hits the ground, the assassin succumbs to his wounds. And with that, I declare Shay Cormac, the Assassin Hunter, the winner. And that will do it for this Assassin's Creed scene match for now. And before I go, I'll just let you know that I could really see this one going either way. But at the end of the day, I feel like that Shay is a more likely victor, since Shay didn't fight until the age of 16, and even fought and killed a pirate captain, while Connor didn't learn to fight to fend for himself until the age of 13, which was likely mainly self-taught. But even if he was trained by his fellow Native Americans, naval combat and Native Americans are two different variations. Naval combat are trained to board an enemy ship to deal with groups of opponents, while Native Americans can best be described as snipers, who are trained to ambush or take out targets from distance. But on neutral grounds, I feel like Shay would still win, since as swordsman, he would be more focused, while Connor, despite having the weapons advantage to take Shay out, Connor, unfortunately at the rate that the fight would be going, his best chances are to find an opening that will be granted. So the question is, would Connor be able to take out Shay if he gets an opening? And unfortunately, I'll say no. The reason being is that Shay has the experience and the knowledge to make up for his disadvantage. And as mentioned in their combat skills, having a solid defense isn't a bad option, but a solid defense will only last for so long before the opponent gets an opening to execute a killing blow, and Shay will eventually get that opening, and this would certainly make up for Connor's talent. But to all the Connor fans, this is honestly just my opinion, so don't be too sour that Connor got bested by the Assassin Hunter. The only way I could see Connor winning is if he, 1, had planned out the fight perfectly and had inside knowledge on Shay, or just pure luck. And I'll confess right now, back then, I really wasn't much of a Connor fan, but after replaying Assassin's Creed 3 and doing a bit more research on him, I now have a newfound respect for the man, and can see why he's favorited. But I digress. So with that said, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter if you care about that, and I'll see y'all next time.
Come on, gotta move.
save me.
Welcome back. Hey, Will. Here's a present.
Countermeasure. How? Oh, Jack.
Will! Come on! Come on, Will, let's go. Monarch had it the whole time. Does it work?
Came back from the future. For me. Fracture wasn't fixed.
Not yet. Does it work?
Theory, yes. We gotta get back to my time machine. Gotta get us back to the time where you came from.
No.
Future.
No.
It's the only way.
We need to stop the fracture here, in this time. Now.
Oh, Jack, listen to me. The fracture wasn't fixed in the time where you came from. So fixing it here, it's always gonna fail.
People are going to die, Will. You haven't seen what happens between now and then.
No, but you have. What you have done has set in motion a chain of events that cannot be broken.
Look, we don't know
And
that
if it could be broken, it could jeopardize the entire world. We get one shot at this. There's too much at stake, Jack.
Look, I know the stakes, okay?
Then you gotta let go, Jack. Everything you have done to get to this place is necessary. Trust me. The past is set, but the future isn't. Right?
We're lying to ourselves. The room's not the world. The world is much bigger and much stranger. There's a hole hidden behind that poster that leads to the real world. We all feel safe in that room. But sometimes something crawls out from behind the poster. And the ones that see it happen freak out and try to forget what they saw. I'm here. Why did you bring me here?